So Kentucky's pro day was like a week ago, and at the time we had a couple different videos up on the channel of like winners and losers from the pro day, things that came out from a reporting perspective from Kentucky's players' performances in front of NBA scouts. Well, yesterday somebody sent me a link to 13 full minutes of 5-on-5 action from Kentucky's pro day that I hadn't seen until yesterday and that I didn't know existed. I don't think anyone on our channel knew existed until now. So we're going to go back to it. I know we're kind of going backwards here, but there's just more footage of Kentucky playing competitive 5-on-5 basketball than we had seen up until this point, and I feel like it's worth reacting to. I want to shout out the YouTube channel that posted the full video for this. It's kysports.tv. 19,000 views on this video from 5 days ago. So I'll be honest, I don't know how we missed this until now. But we did all our pro day stuff on like Friday last week before the weekend, and I feel like this wasn't formally published when we were doing Kentucky Pro Day. So, anyways, let's retroactively go back. Like I said, 13 minutes of legitimate 5-on-5 footage. And I will say, we did some discussion about like the Midnight Madness scrimmage. This is significantly more competitive. There were NBA scouts in the gym, and I watched this entire 13-minute video. It is, I would say, a 100% competitive juices flowing scrimmage. There's no lackadaisical, like we're kind of going through the motions element of this. This is Kentucky's entire active roster getting after it. Of course, no JQ, couple injuries to speak to that we know about with this Kentucky roster, but everybody that is healthy right now is on full display. Let's talk about it. What are your biggest reactions to the 5-on-5 footage from the pro day?
So here's my first one, and I want to get the jokes off out of the way, and then get into the breakdown of the clip. Is it fair to say that, there used to be a time where these NBA scouts would come to these pro days and it was just first round picks galore, right? And now, no disrespect, the probably the two biggest NBA prospects weren't even participating in this because of injury, and Ortega and JQ. And I just chuckle at myself a little bit that, some of the, NBA talent, NBA scouts are pulling up to watch Trent Noah. But that's beside the point.
Well, there
Uh,
are other legitimate NBA
oh,
prospects.
there's other legitimate
A
NBA
lot
players
better.
for sure, but I'm just thinking about, like, those Cal teams that were just ridden with first round NBA draft picks, and NBA talent on the team. It's a little bit different in my opinion, but
If I'm an NBA scout, I'm there looking at Malachi Moreno, Jasper Johnson, Braden Hawthorne, maybe even a Cam Williams. Like there's NBA talent here.
yeah, possibly. So,
Come on, man. Like that's what we're starting with, really? We're
I was
questioning
getting it
if
out
they
the
have NBA
way.
talent?
There is possibly some NBA talent on this team.
I
Possibly.
think there is at minimum four guys that will get drafted on this team, including two that were playing in this scrimmage that are not Otega or JQ.
Like four on top of Ortega and Jake, or four including those.
I'm not positive Otega's getting drafted.
Oh,
So I think there are three players that are not Otega or JQ that will get drafted at some point from this team.
yeah, I don't think that's even that crazy to say, but anyways.
So come on, then. Why are we pooping on their NBA talent? Come on, move on. It's our first
I mean,
video of the day, folks. But like, come on. But that's what
I
we're
mean,
doing.
go ahead and repeat the names you just said to yourself again one more time.
I think Malachi Moreno's a pro. I think Jasper Johnson's a pro. I think Braden Hawthorne's probably like a Tayshaun Prince one day.
All right, all right, that's where it stands. I think that
NBADraft.net says Cam Williams is the seventh pick in the draft.
yeah, banish NBA draft.net forever, for what it's worth. But I think that you see. I think even in this little 5-on-5 scrimmage that is pro day, I think it is very competitive given it's in front of NBA scouts. I think that, you saw some competitive things in this. I even remember looking at the KSR takeaways on this, and they were talking about how competitive it was, how, like, even in the midst of the scrimmage, like Mark Pope was having guys like be punished basically for not doing things correctly. I know Yelovich had to run some stairs. BG passed up a shot, had to do some towel pushes. So it was very competitive, very like high energy, all that. And I think that you got a pretty good glimpse on, at least from what I saw, how Kentucky is going to play. I think that obviously they love to do like big man to guard, wing, dribble handoffs, and there's a lot of threes on this team. Like I think it's all about, at least in this little 13-minute clip, there's some going to the basket stuff by some players, but it's mostly a lot of three-point shots, a lot of good driving kicks, I will say, in this little 13-minute clip too as well. I think they do a good job of finding the open man when they drive. A lot of threes though, and I think some players in this clips were making them, some players were not, but it looked evident that there's an emphasis on getting three-point shots up.
Yeah, I mean that is a staple of Mark Pope teams. We know that it's been the biggest hot button issue talking point all off season. I think because people know that Mark Pope teams shoot a bunch of threes, and because people also can correctly identify that a lot of the players on this team have not had great pedigrees as shooters coming into the season. Like Trent Noah has. Outside of that, there's not really like proven college basketball shooters. Cam Williams and Trent Noah are probably the two, and they've been billed as that. I think we've been told a million times this summer how good this team's shooting is. Mark Pope has used the word elite to describe their shooting. I know we've seen the Noah numbers. We've heard various guys have stood out in various ways and led the team in a bunch of different shooting categories depending on the situation. This is the first real data point I would say that we have. And it's because it's 13 minutes of unedited real basketball game footage. Shooting in a game is different than shooting in a drill. We know this. Shooting in a 5-on-5 game that's competitive is different than shooting at Midnight Madness when everyone's half-assing it defensively. This was real scrimmage. This was real defense. This was real. The shots didn't really go in, at least in this video footage that's 13 minutes long. Now, some did. Of course, some did. But yeah, if I were to just like try and describe in one sentence, like what was the Kentucky 5-on-5 pro day scrimmage like, I would say it looked like uh, every possession, basically, someone shot a three and they didn't make a super high percentage of them. I mean, I didn't chart every single shot, but I watched the 13 minutes and they certainly missed more than they made. And some of these were good looks. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of these were good looks. Some of them were quick looks, kind of contested, honestly. And I don't know if this is a point of emphasis. I don't know if Mark Pope wanted this or not. It's the one element of this that felt a little sloppy in nature. Like I said, it's very competitive, but it felt like a team that really just had nine guys running 3 point line to 3 point line, looking to
Mhm.
shoot the first shot that they've got. Now, the exception to that was Jalen Lowe, and Jalen Lowe got a couple threes up as well here, but Jalen Lowe was stirring everything here. He was getting downhill. He had some good finishes. He had some good assists. It certainly backs up the story that we've been told that at least with Otega out, this is Jalen Lowe's team. But, I think trying to figure out what this depth, we know they're the deepest team in the country on paper. It's the deepest roster just by names. What does that actually look like on a basketball court? This is the first eye test I have of it. And it looks like a team with 10 guys that are kind of just shooters around Jalen Lowe and I guess around Otega when he gets back. They need Otega back. That's obvious, right? But this entire mix of guys makes sense to me once Otega's available. Without him, it really was a lot of settling for jumpers that weren't going in, to my eye. Dion, you okay? You look a little sweaty.
So every August, September, my air conditioning breaks, and there's just nothing I can do about it.
Dude, that's tough. Out in California, too? Like, I mean, what is it, like 80 degrees still there today?
Today's gonna be like 85, 90, but like peak summer, it gets like 110. My AC just doesn't ever hold up.
I mean, It sounds like it's a bummer that you can't take advantage of Duncan Mechanical Solutions because Duncan Mechanical Solutions is an HVAC company based in Angola, servicing the tri-state area, bringing commercial quality to the residential world with excellent customer service. You heard us talk about Duncan Mechanical last summer. If you need heating or air conditioning, kitchen or bath remodeling, or all of the above, Duncan Mechanical is the place to go in the Midwest. Go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com to take advantage and make sure you don't wind up like Dion.
Yeah, and look, I know that sometimes in practice, like I was trying to get a good look because I know sometimes when you're doing these things, there's actually like an emphasis on like I know like back when I was playing, my coach would be we'd call it like 8 seconds basically. Like once you get the ball and you get to a certain point of half court, it would be eight, sevens, and it was just kind of like working on like semi transition, trying to get a shot up, basically like playing a little bit faster, trying to speed it up. It kind of seemed like that was maybe going on. I did notice at one point where there was a shot passed up and Mark Pope like blew the whistle and like it was basically a turnover and went to the other team. So maybe that is something they're trying to um I guess work on. But yeah, it did seem like it was a lot of like dribble handoff, get the first semi-open three up right away.
Yeah. Yeah, which again, maybe it was situational, maybe that's what Pope wanted, but at least in my mind, there wasn't a lot of real shot creation from this entire group. Like it's not like they were throwing the ball into the post and Garrison or Moreno were getting shots. It was they were kind of just rim running and doing their thing in the high post. Um, Everybody else I thought was really just running 3 point line to 3 point line, except for Jalen. Jalen was getting wherever he wants. The one other guy I thought kind of popped visually to me was Jasper Johnson, and I would say this felt like a sign that I'm hoping comes to fruition that he is heavily in the mix on this team. He looks just gifted, I would say, compared to some of the other guards on this team. Jalen not included because Jalen's awesome, but like I don't know, Jasper was like getting rebounds and running and kind of like leading the break on his own. Like he just is a different level athlete, different level talent, I think, than some guys on this team. I thought his jumper looked pretty good in terms of guys that were just getting those jumpers up. Honestly, I thought Jasper's looked like it translates right now. I know we've heard some things about like consistency from him. And I take that to mean like maybe he has some lapses defensively and he's got to get better there. I didn't notice that in these clips for what it's worth. I mean, again, I thought the defense was pretty high level from all parties involved, but I didn't notice Jasper as any having any issues on that end. So I was impressed with him. I feel like if that activity level stays true, he's going to have a pretty big role on this team.
Yeah, also like I feel like they talk about like who the best shooter is on the team. I'm not saying Jasper's the best shooter, but Jasper might be the best shot maker.
Yeah.
I think he's just a natural scorer of the basketball. I think he's the best shot maker on the team, and what role that wants to be for Mark Pope, whether it's like this bench six man who you like, all right, Jasper, go in there and score, and that's kind of what he does. Or if it becomes to a point where he's pushing for a starting spot, who really knows? But I think that kid's gonna have to play, and I think that he's just a special shot maker, and obviously he's of slender frame, and I can see like the defense. I could see like him, just freshman stuff, lapses, things like that don't happen on the defensive end. But as far as like shot making, getting his own, I think he has all that, and the shot did look good in these clips. Would you say that Jasper was the most impressive, or at least to you, in this short scrimmage?
Jalen Lowe. Jalen Lowe, but outside of Jalen. I thought the most involved guys to my eye in a good way were Jasper, and honestly, I thought Yelovich was pretty involved here.
See, when I was watching this, I came away like very impressed with Mo Diabate actually.
Really, talk me
And
through that.
and I didn't really expect to. Now I thought that it changed for me though because like his first 3 point shot, it looked like a push, and it was about as short could get, like almost an air ball. But he did make another one where someone went under the screen. He had some back cut stuff on here as well. He was also kind of getting the boards and pushing it and like kind of initiating things. He also had like the little backdoor cut that Malachi threw to him. He had the and one and then proceeded to let everyone in the gym know the other team is way too small, both with hand and also saying that the other team is way too small. So I don't know. I just think that he brings a different level of energy, rebounding, And if he's able to hit shots just, from the 3-point range at an okay level, I think you got a really good like glue guy Swiss Army type situation. Like going back to when we did that video where Mark Pope was like, "Oh, I can use him as Draymond Green." I get kind of what he was saying somewhat. Like there is a little bit of like grab the rebound, push it, hit the guy ahead, pass ahead, dribble handoff, backdoor energy type stuff that I could see where maybe Mark Pope was kind of getting that.
Yeah, I think the way I would frame that, I can see what you're saying. I think Diabate is one of the only guys outside of the big three. I feel like the big three are pretty obviously kind of in a tier of their own in terms of caliber on this roster, and also they do different things, right? When you separate Jalen Lowe, Otega Owe, Jaden Quaintance in theory when he's healthy, those are three players whose skill sets and abilities on a basketball court are all theoretically complementary to each other, right?
Mhm.
Like Jalen is the downhill guy who can shot create and play make. Otega is a three-level scorer, elite defender, can play any position. And then JQ is your post guy who can do it all. Those three together, big three, as good as any in the country, it makes sense. Then you're looking for like what guys are we surrounding them with? And again, it's hard to view the big picture of this team while two of these guys are out. Because then now we're just lumping a bunch of guys that are all realistically going to be role players on this team and asking them to maybe play a bigger role than they're even in contention for on the team. So I think honestly watching this footage is a little misleading, but the point is all of that to say, Diabate is the one guy that I would put in the group of the rest of the guys that I think does different things than everyone else on the roster. Like if we were going through all the other names outside of Diabate and the big three, Denzel Aberdeen, I think most of the time he's on the floor is just going to catch and shoot and play defense. 3 and D is probably what I'd call almost everybody else. Cam Williams, that's what you're hoping for. Trent Noah, that's what you're hoping for. I know they're gassing up Colin Chandler as like a backup point guard. I didn't see anything from this footage that makes me think that's a good idea. Um, you get what I'm saying, right? Like everyone else on this team is basically the guys that are just running 3-point line to 3-point line in this video, which is fine, by the way. When the big three are out there, you need a bunch of shooting and guys that are just going to kind of play off of those guys. But Diabate gives you more than that. And I think that's what's exciting. He can still be the complimentary guy, but he just can do a little extra playmaking stuff. He's a great rebounder, a toughness guy, a defender. He's more positionally versatile. I see the vision for him in a way I don't see from anybody else,
Yeah,
you know.
given the roster, he's probably the second best playmaker on the team. Unless
Eh,
unless I'm completely missing somebody.
you think behind low it'd be Diabate? I mean, they've talked a lot about Diabate's
I'm I'm,
abilities
I'm
there.
talking pure playmaking.
Yeah.
And I know playmaking. We start getting into that. I don't want to get into like the whole is he a basketball or hoop? Is he a hooper or is he a basketball? That type thing. But just like playmaking wise, I really don't want Ortega passing like that. I don't want Cam doing anything. I think they want Colin Chandler to do a little bit of that, and I thought that he did have some small moments in this. I also did notice the one thing about Colin Chandler I did notice is it seemed like he was very verbally involved. Like I feel like Mark Pope wants him to be maybe like a mouthpiece leader type person on this. Obviously, it being his second year in the program, it did seem he had a little bit of that. But yeah, I think there's an argument that Mo Diabate is the second best playmaker on this team, which you decide if you want that to be a scary thought or not.
Yeah. I think I'm buying it. I think 2 weeks ago I would have sold it and been like, no way. In this footage, I see it. And again, maybe we're seeing it because Otega's not here. But yeah, I buy it. I think like a vision's coming together for this team for me of like Low, Owe, Diabate, Quaintance, and then whatever guys making shots that night. Like I like that formula, don't you? That
Mm.
team feels good defensively. That team feels like they got a lot of complementary skill sets that do different things. And then you're basically just looking for the fifth guy to be a sniper. whoever, whether it's Cam, whether it's Trent, whether it could change any given game. I could see that being where this team goes. Of course, though, the elephant in the room with that plan is that a bunch of those guys aren't available. Like, at what point are we? I know they're saying JQ's going to be back, and obviously, I think Owe is full go by the season. But like, it's a very different vision for what that team is than the one we're seeing in the pro day scrimmage.
Yeah, I do think so. Also, yeah, Nito Tega and JQ back.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, maybe it's just a slower start to this season than last year, but that wouldn't be the end of the world as long as you're good by March, right?
That's all that matters.
Right. Overall, stock up, stock same, stock down for Kentucky based on some full 5-on-5 competitive footage that we've seen.
The buzz about this summer is that this team can really, really shoot. They are trying to shoot. Benefit of the doubt, I'm gonna say some rent. Stays the same. Same for me.
I think overall I'm staying the same, which is top 10 team in the country. I'm not buying the shooting being as elite as they're saying. There were a lot of missed game jumpers in this footage from guys they've been saying don't miss.